In this chapter, let's now start working on our swipe. So in this video, we're going to save the swipes to our database. So to do that, we are first going to have to create our swipe model. So here, open a new terminal, type this command, make model swipe, also -mfs. And after creating that, let's go to our swipes table migration. In here, let's put in a few fields. We're only going to have about 3. So first one's going to be foreign ID. It's going to be user ID for the one who created the swipe, for the one who is swiping. Make it constrained on users table. Or you can just press Ctrl+C in the end there so you can create another foreign key. Here it's going to be swiped user ID, and it's going to reference on the same table because we're only users can swipe. So I'm gonna have the user who's swiping and the user who has been swiped on, whether left, right, or up. And down here, going to have we need to specify what kind of swipe it was. So in here, we can go ahead and create an enum class, but that's just overkill for something very simple. So with this, we can go ahead and create enum directly in the migration. The name should be type, and then here the values, it's going to be left, right, make sure it's a string, and up, comma there. Yeah, so that's the layout for our swipes table. Now after that, let's go to our swipe model. Here in our swipe model, first we are going to add protected. Added is an empty array. Okay, let's create function. It's going to be user. Return type is belongs to. And down here is going to be return belongs to user. And then now let's identify the user who was swiped. So we can call this function swiped user. This is also going to be belongs to like the one on top. Going to return this belongs to the user. But here let's specify the foreign key. It's going to be this one, swiped user ID, the one we added here. So this, let's comment on this. Well, I here add a semicolon, and let's comment on this. We're going to say representing the user who was swiped. Well, our next function is going to be check if user is super like. So for that, here we can create a function. It is super like. So we're going to return a bool here, true or false. So here we're only going to check if, here return, if this type is equals to up, then it's a super like. Alright, now enough with this. Now let's go to our user model. In here, I'm going to add some relationships to link into our swipe. Alright, now in our user model here, we can simply create a function saying user has many swipes. In the function, we're going to say wipes. The return type is has many. Return this has many swipe model. And the foreign key is user ID. Add a semicolon there. Now in here, we're going to have to check sometimes. Here, check if allows us to check if user has swiped with another user. Let's create a function. Let's call this one has swiped. So here it's going to be return bool, true or false. So now in here, we're going to create a query. The query is going to come from this. Since we're currently in the user model, so we can get these swipes that we just created here, these ones. They were the swipe user ID is equals to, here we're going to receive a user model. So we can type user model and user variable. Also here I'm going to receive the type just in case I want to specify, because we can check if user has swiped up, down, or left with this user. So here we can specify type is equals to now by default. Here we're going to check swipes where swiped user ID is equals to this user we passed here ID. For this query now, we're going to check if type is not equals to null, then we want to modify the query to filter by type. Then query where type. If not, then we're just going to return query exists. Right, so here's just going to check if this above query, given that if the type is null or not, if this query is true, which means the user has already swiped with this user we're going to pass here. The next one is going to be, and I figured we might need a scope in the future because, for example, if we call the users in the app, like we don't want to show the users that we have already swiped. If we have swiped on a user, whether it's left, up or down, we don't want to show the user again on our screen because we might create duplicate swipes unless in special occasions. So for now, let's create a scope. It's going to be function scope where not swiped. Alright, so we just remove the return type. Now this scope, let's comment on this one. Exclude users who have already been swiped by the auth user. You are going to receive a query in no return type. In here, return query builder, this query when not in ID. Instead of passing a variable, we're going to pass a function so we can query it more. A function. Here we need to pass this variable saying, let's say sub query. Inside this sub query, we're going to select the swipe user ID from the swipes types table. Here actually you can say where the user ID is auth ID. In here we can get this subquery to select this one, like we said in the comment here, swipe user ID from the swipes table. And here I'm gonna say where the user ID is for the auth ID. For the ID, make sure you add open bracket close, otherwise it does not work. Comma there. Alright, so this just, like I said here on top, the first query, it just exclude the users whose IDs are in the result of the sub query, this one. So all the users we get from here, want to exclude them finally before we execute this query. Yeah, so I think that's it. After creating that, now let's go ahead and run our migration. So we can simply just refresh the word database again. You can type PHP artisan. Actually, we can just migrate for now. And our swipes table has been created. So thank you guys. Now that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.